Okay, I'm live. Hope everyone's doing well today. Watch out for that big bad scary second wave. Look out, it's coming. Look out. The hype. The hype is real, folks. And the fear is real. The fear instilled into the people is very real. But the underlying numbers, well, that's the part of the reality that the hacks and the established media want to avoid actually pointing out. Except for a small minority of people, I will say in the media, they must be so hated by the rest of their peers, because every time the typical hacks in the established media try to pump up the fear narrative, all of a sudden somebody comes along with a reasoned approach and a reasoned argument, and it has the tendency to knock the bullshit back down and put it back in its place. So, like I say, these hacks in the established media aren't happy with the fact there are a few people who are destroying not just their credibility, but their narrative as well. And well, I'm not part of the established media, but I'm definitely someone on the outside that's doing that as well. Now, that's probably a big reason why they're no fan of mine either. Anyways, let me get to letting everyone know that I'm live. All right. Sent out that notification. Oh, by the way, let me just mention actually before I get into this that Gab now has their own servers. So if you're not on gab.com, basically a Twitter-like social media platform, the difference being is they support genuine freedom of speech. You can say what you want on Gab without having to fear being banned, right? Like Twitter or being accused of wrongthink. And now that they've got their own servers, there's nobody that's going to be able to shut them down. So I would definitely suggest that you get on Gab, and if you do, check me out over there at Canadian Libertarian and follow me, and I'll do the same back. Anyways, so let's get a couple more notifications sent out. Oh, and don't forget to check out Minds as well. It's another excellent alternative social media platform. You can find me there as well at Canadian Libertarian. Okay. Notifications have been sent. How many people will get them? Well, hey, that's all up in the air, right? Who knows? Because that's the thing. It's nothing. It's all, we all have to speculate now, because there's no way that you can know how many people. Which is so insane. If someone's subscribed to my channel, they should get notified by default. But that's not how things work, obviously, as we know. And as much as I like to rely on people being proactive and coming to my channel and checking it out, see if there's anything new, well, once again, we've all been programmed to think in such short bursts and have such short attention spans. I don't place much faith in people doing any better when it comes to that either. Sadly, bursts. Okay, let me get back here. Like I say, folks, got a lot of stuff to cover. Let me see if there's anyone in the stream as of yet. What's going on, Tharkitula? Hello, sir. How's your health? Always doing good. Well, not always. I shouldn't say always, but I'm doing great. Hey, Rika, early in, right on. You're getting early in on this one, Rika. I literally just started, and it's always great to see you in the chat. So thank you for joining. And hopefully you won't have to do anything on the sideline sitting there as the moderator. Hopefully everyone will be behaving themselves. Right? Anyways, let's see. Oh, best concern for you. Oh, thanks a lot. And to you as well. Anyone else out there too that's especially if you're a fighter for freedom or a liberty lover. Yeah, I definitely want you to keep yourself in good health so you're strong and resilient, because the fight's definitely not over yet. Matter of fact, it's being ramped up. So yeah, keep yourself safe out there, folks, and keep yourself in good health. Being proactive and taking care of your health is something that, regardless of COVID-19 ever, come to exist or not, is something that I would definitely suggest for anyone. I know for myself, and we all have a tendency from time to time to procrastinate. Hey, I've done so myself, but it's really, really important to have yourself in good, not just physical, but mental health as well. And these are two aspects. Well, the mental health is really difficult with these hacks and the media constantly trying to stir up the hype and the fear, right? Especially around the COVID-19. And now the big second wave. Look out, it's a tsunami. Right? So not really. There's lots of cases, but it's basically, what's that mean? It's a ripple. Who cares? They're just cases. Is it going to knock me over? Right? Is it going to overwhelm me? Is it going to capsize my boat? No, it's just a little ripple. It's just people getting cases, people that are mostly healthy, people in the 20, 30, or 40. And gee, I wonder why that is. Because people are actually having a little bit of freedom. Oh, we can't allow that. There might be cases. So what? It's going to happen. You can't lock yourself down forever and think that, ooh, the COVID's just going to disappear like a fart in the wind. It's out there. It's around. It's in existence. And yeah, we're just going to have to deal with it. So suck it up, Buttercup, and get yourself out there and enjoying yourself and not falling for this hype and fear narrative that the establishment media and the establishment politicians have been hammering away at for months now, right? And they're ramping it back up once again. Anyway, let me see. Kuzrov. Oh, I see. When you put it in the minimal thing, it's quite small. But we're going to try it different today, the minimal aspect of the banner and all this stuff. Maybe Rogan should have moved over to Gab rather than Spotify, where he is now facing significant challenges from their staff. That's a good one, Kuzrov 96. I agree. Yeah, maybe he should have. Well, that's the thing. Is Spotify going to shoot themselves in the economic proverbial foot? Who knows? I mean, who knows what they're going to do these days? There's a lot of activists that seem to have a whole lot of power within these organizations or within media or within the government, and they're all beholden to them. Geez, I wonder if a lot of these activists are the sons and daughters of a bunch of elitists who represent the establishment, media, education, political landscape. You know, something to think about. Food for thought, a point to ponder. I would suggest that, yeah, probably that is the case, right? And they're so used to having to cater and coddle them that they're doing that in these examples as well, right? Makes sense, right? Totally makes sense if you think about it. Anyways, like I say, so let me get to, here's the first thing I wanted to cover, folks. Oh, wait, now, where are we at? Okay, yeah. So this is an article out of CBC News pumping up that fear and hype. And boy, I don't know who the hell it was that allowed this contributor, but yeah, it's a submitted opinion piece. Of course, you won't see any submitted opinion pieces from anyone that's a libertarian or trying to point out some morality or some aspects of what liberty entails and push back all against big government imposing their mandates on us. You won't hear those kind of opinions, but these kind of opinions, oh yeah, the hacks at the CBC love bringing this stuff in because it, like, once again, stirs up that fear and hype narrative that, once again, gets people clicking and watching this stuff or at least paying attention to them. That's the thing. What's going to happen when all this subsides and when Trump, let's say Trump doesn't win his second mandate or second term in office, what's the media going to have at this point in time to do? Not much, I guess, right? Not much. Anyways, like I say, let me get this article brought up. We'll go through this together. Like I say, what a fear-induced or fear-driven narrative this article represents. Yeah, you folks should be able to see that. Just checking off here now. Okay, so as you can see, let me just take a quick sip here. Okay, so this is British Columbia. It's, like I say, a submitted opinion piece, CBC. Schools might be the best place to teach mass culture and fight racism. Ooh, kill two birds with one stone. Imagine that, right? You don't hear too much about efficiency from anyone that's a advocate or a commenter or submitter to CBC News, right? But in this case, I guess they want to kill two birds one stone, but not in the positive kind of manner that you and I would be thinking of. We can look at schools in Asia to see how wearing masks has been normalized. Yeah, we could probably see a lot of things over there in Asia that have been normalized. But, that's the point of actually these Western so-called free societies and democracies is, yeah, we're not big fans of some of these things that take place in some of these Asian countries. That's why we don't live in those Asian countries. Yeah, if most Canadians were really, really big fans of socialism or communism, yeah, they'd be over there living in these countries because there's all kinds of places in the world that practices that kind of top-down authoritarianism. Now, I do get that Trudeau and some of his ilk, they like that shit. But once again, that's not representation of the Canadian people. The mass of that 37 million Canadians who, once again, I would suggest, now I'm not speaking on behalf of all of them, but I suggest there's a substantial portion of the Canadian population. Matter of fact, a lot of people of Chinese descent or Chinese backgrounds that live in this country are like, well, wait a minute. hear Amanda Kong, which is the contributor to this opinion piece that was submitted today, October 1st, 2020. But they'd be saying, hey, Amanda Kong, wait a minute. I come to Canada for the very reason that I don't want to live in that piece of shithole called China with this top-down authoritarianism or quasi-dictatorship imposed by the communist regime. Yeah, so like, hello, but apparently this Amanda Kong, like, what the hell? First of all, if you really admire that culture, then what the hell are you doing here, Amanda? Let me tell you, if I was originally from, and I would suggest based on your name, there must be some history there that you have some relatives. Could you maybe get a citizenship over there? If that's something you're a big fan of, because once again, don't bring that fucking shit to Canada. That's the point of having diversity. Haven't you ever heard of things called diversity, Amanda? We're not all in the entire world supposed to be subject to top-down authoritarian communist rule. Right? If you like your communism, keep your communism, but do it elsewhere, not the fucking this country. God damn it, what's wrong with these people? Schools might be the best place to teach. And once again, yes, we also understand that schools are very well and adapted. That is kind of the point. The whole point of the public government funded, although I'll say taxpayer funded, but government imposed, I should say, education system. Yes, it's all about indoctrinating the youth and our children. We understand that. The fact that you're willing to admit that here in an article on CBC, well, once again, I guess you're in good company for espousing that kind of bullshit, right? Unbelievable. Yeah, it's been normalized not wearing masks. So has human fucking slavery and being treated like chattel. That's been quite normalized too, right? So there's that. Is that going to be your next submitted opinion pieces? Hey, yeah, chattel labor or slave labor in 2020, hey, it makes for much more efficient and lower prices, right? Or not so much efficient, but much lower prices on the consumable goods that you purchase, right? That's true too. But once again, we also have to overlook and ignore the fact that it requires basically humans being treated like chattel or slaves. So once again, sorry for pointing out a little pushback to your utopian pretense of authoritarianism and conformity being something that we should worship, adopt, or look up to. Hell no. This is an opinion column by Amanda Kong, who is a secondary teacher in Metro Vancouver, BC for more. Oh, as a person of color, okay, what the hell is going on here, folks? Now listen, is she part something else? Is she part black? Is she part, I don't know what, Middle Eastern descent, Indian? I don't know what it is, but based on the name and the picture that I can see of her, which is down here at the bottom, as she seems to be a woman of Asian descent and not necessarily considered a person of color. Although once again, I'm not here to. Maybe that's how she likes to identify. I don't know, but once again, what the hell? So now you're going to use your self-identifying superficial aspect of your humanity, I guess, is that you're a person of color, because that gives you, look at that gives me more authority than anyone else, because hey, I'm a person of color. Welcome to the age of identity politics, folks. This is absolute bullshit, as most of you already know. As a person of color, holy fucking Jesus Christ, if I get a tan, like, that's the thing in the summertime, and you folks that have been watching my videos for a long time, you've probably seen. And even though my background is Irish and Scottish, I got to tell you, there's something that tells me, if I look to my father's side of the family, that there's probably some First Nations, there's probably some Aboriginal blood there somewhere along the lines, because I do tend to tan really well and get pretty damn dark in the summer times, in the summer months. And anyone that's known me has said, damn, like, you know what I mean? I can put my arm up against some of these people of color and look even darker than them. So it's like, am I going to, in the summertime, do I get to identify as a person of color just because my skin color changes tone? What the hell is wrong with these people? Or should we stick to what matters most, is what goes on in my mind and my heart and all that stuff? Anyways, moving beyond that, as a person of color, I'm aware my mask wearing face consciously and unconsciously triggers anxiety, fear, and discrimination. Oh, really does it? Really, really does it? Sure, it may, but that's you kind of thinking out loud. Maybe Is that how you think, Amanda? Or are people actually coming up and tell you this? Really? Because I would like to know, is it because you're hearing people say that they're doing it because they discriminate on you based on your race? Or is it maybe because of that culture that you talk about where they fear the kind of top-down authoritarianism and blind conformity to arbitrary edicts or rules? I wonder if that might have something to do with it, Amanda. And it's not because you are wearing a mask, right? It's not the mask per se. It's what kind of culture that elicits and entails. And it seems right along here, based on what you're saying, the rhetoric coming your own mouth, that the people who are supposedly unconsciously or consciously triggered are actually thinking kind of critically and fearing that kind of top-down authoritarianism that you seem to really carry favor for. In the early days of the pandemic in March, I noticed people would step away when my mother and I would walk out with our masks on. Well, maybe it's because people are like, what the hell are you wearing a goddamn mask? That's not, yes, because it's not normal. So yes, abnormal things, people wouldn't recognize things that are abnormal, they tend to, that is quite normal in the human experience. And it's not just for white people or Canadians. It's basically what we do as a human species. It's actually even animal kingdom. When something different happens, that they're not conducive, that doesn't fit in their typical surroundings or history of what they understand in their surroundings. Yes, even animals in nature, right, try to adapt or might perceive that as something to be fearful of, right? That's just, once again, normal instinctual behavior. But hey, let's try to paint that as them as just being racist, right? Oh my God. But we're going to get through this, folks. We're going to get through this. Okay. That example of microaggression. Oh, that word microaggression. It's not even aggression. It's micro, like as in microscopic, as in like imperceivable to the human eye. Because yeah, that's actually a proper word for it, because it's so micro that yeah, you and I can't see it, but she can see it. I guess she has that telescopic or microscopic vision. Wow, that's working really good. I don't know if this lady wears glasses or not, but I didn't know they could make them that powerful these days. But hey, technology is quite impressive these days. That example of microaggression no longer happens with the same frequency anymore, as mask wearing has become more normalized and public health information around COVID-19 has evolved over time. Hey, you know what? I just love using these examples. I would imagine even the first couple train loads of people who were taken to the concentration camps under Nazi Germany, right? Or some of the first bus loads or whatever that were taken to the gulags in Russia, right? Or the concentration camps in in the communist China under Mao. At first, I imagine the people that saw this stuff taking place is the first few bus loads, train loads, right? It's like, ooh, damn, look at that, folks. Look at that, some crazy ass shit. After you've seen what? Couple hundred train loads of people being offloaded to the boxcars or the bus loads going into the concentration camps and loaded into the gulags. I suppose after the first 100 or 200 or so of them, it's like, yeah, I've seen it before. Like, yawn, boring. Anything else new? So yeah, people can become very much accustomed to some really insane fucking shit, right? That should be no shock or surprise, but apparently Amanda thinks that's something that's really, really important as it pertains to her victim narrative, right? That she's trying to exude in this article. Okay. Wearing masks was initially discouraged to prevent the spread of COVID-19, with the caution that they can give the person wearing a mask a false sense of security and lead to extra face touching to adjust the mask. Then in April, the message began to shift, and by late May, masks were recommended in situations where physical distance couldn't be maintained. Actually, no, we all know. I mean, you can spew that kind of nonsense as much as you want, but most of us know at this point in time that no, it was because the government and the healthcare, this socialized shit mess of a healthcare system in this country, they were so scared that they would be overwhelmed because they were massively unprepared. And why? Once again, we all knew about the SARS and the H1N1 and all this shit. But once again, did government prepare? Was government prepared for any of these things? And people were warned back then, there's going to be a potential outbreak in the future. Did government fucking make sure that they were prepared for such an event or circumstance? No, they were caught with their pants down, as per usual, unprepared and ill-prepared and ill-adapted to even function on the fly with dealing with any of these things, because that's what government is. It disincentivizes people from being properly competent in their jobs or their duties, that's for sure. But I mean, come on, we know they didn't have the mask, right? So it's kind of hard to tell people, hey, you better get out there and wear a mask. And it's like, but where do I get the mask? Oh, yeah, I guess it'd be really stupid to mandate or tell people you should be wearing masks when there's no mask out there because there wasn't any stock of it, right? Or what was it? The fact that, whoops, the Trudeau government sent millions of them over to China. It's like, whoopsie, well, we could have used them for our own citizens, but we were too stupid and we wanted to virtue signal to China. So we said, here, take ours. We're like, oh, shit. Well, I guess we probably should have kept them to protect our own citizens, but we didn't. Once again, government failure. At every junction and every level, at every stage of this whole COVID outbreak, it's government fail. Long-term care, fail. Basically, like I say, taking care of the vulnerable, the seniors, fail. Just massive failure all over. But once again, anyways, let me get back to this article. More recently, a WHO study found that face masks are effective both in healthcare and community settings. So all they're showing is there's a slight, like if I can show you that I can give you a 2% increase in the potential of a mask that really sucks balls, but if I can apparently show you even a 2% or a very small percentage increase that it might help you in some way, not prevent it, but to help protect, because they're not saying prevent, remember? Never did they use the word prevent, because they can't, because then they would be lying straight up, right? They love to manipulate the truth, distort the truth, rather than bold-faced lie, because, like I say, lawyers, there's all kinds of people and people that would be suing for that kind of stuff. So just because they can say there can be a slight minor reduction in the potential for case transference between people if you're wearing some lame ass cloth mask or one of these cheap ass masks that literally say on the package that no, it does not prevent the spread of any fucking coronavirus or these COVID-19. They say right on the fucking packaging. And why? Because the people that produce them, the companies and the corporations that produce them, they're much wiser than government hacks and these media mouthpieces, and they recognize that we got to tell the truth. So, but that's the thing. The media and the establishment hacks, and even the WHO is using the fact, or they're using this study to try to convince Canadians that all masks do work. No, they don't fucking work. No, they don't work. And you're saying, and matter of fact, a lot of people out there are wearing masks. Well, then shouldn't you see the cases shouldn't be rising. They should be getting lower and lower if people are out there wearing masks now, because there are a lot of people out there wearing masks, but yet the cases are rising. So more and more people are wearing masks and being mandated to do so forcefully, as I'll add, and if they don't, big major fines or getting a beat down from one of these petty order followers or these mindless order followers, but yet the cases are going up. So once again, even all the bullshit narrative that they try to put out there, but once again, so what? A small percentage that a mask may help you in some degree. But if you were to tell them, yeah, but there's only a small percentage of me even contacted the virus or not just contact, I mean, dying from the virus. If you try to use that small minority and say, well, hey, it's only a small minority of people who are dying, they flip the script, they'd flip the narrative completely upside down, because once again, it's all, at the end of the day, it's all about controlling the narrative and controlling the hype and the fear to make you conformist and compliant and doing whatever the hell they want you to do, and subjecting yourself to the expert. These health experts are becoming the tyrants, and the political class is seemingly sitting back on the sidelines and letting them do it because they're like, hey, well, technically we're not allowed to do it because we can get voted in or out by our constituents. So we'll just leave it up to the healthcare professionals, the deep state, the bureaucracy to do all that authoritarianism because, hey, we can't vote those folks out, right? So, and there's no real accountability there. And because of non-disclosure agreements, don't worry, nobody will ever know the truth. Nobody will ever be able to hold you to account. That's basically what big government's thinking these days. But I mean, come on. Like mass, even in here, in healthcare setting and community, you know what they mean when they say these healthcare community settings? Yeah, if you're basically like leaning over grandma that's on her deathbed, right? Probably a good for long periods of time. Probably a good idea to throw on some kind of a mask. But in most circumstances, in 99% of most things that or activities you're going to do over the course of your day, your week, your month, or your year, no. It's not going to prove to be one bit effective, just like those fucking doofus sitting out there driving their cars all by themselves, right? Or walking down the street all by themselves, nobody around them, right? I see it all the fucking time too on, well, not mostly on television, because fortunately here in New Brunswick, people aren't quite that insane. Although if you go into town, well, like I say, you get into the big urban parts, that's where you find the conformity, right? The mass delusion takes place more in the big urban centers. You get that group think, that herd-like mentality. And you do see that. And I have seen it a couple examples of people like literally like, what are you worried about? There's nobody to fuck around you. You're even outside and you got a stupid mask on. What is wrong with you? Other than the fact you just want to virtue signal. But you might be virtue signaling to people who are inept or too stupid to think for themselves. But what you're doing for the rest of us is pointing out to me, when I see people like you wearing masks, I just say, what a fucking sheep. You haven't thought critically. You haven't studied or dug into the actual evidence or the actual information that's underlying all this hype and fear brought to you by your local government or your governments or your media mouthpieces. It's just so insane, folks. But yes, anyway, let me continue on here. Even then, there remained this concern among the teaching community that wearing a mask might frighten students and hamper their ability to learn. You're fucking right, it will. And yes, it will. Both of those things. And we're seeing that. Initially, very few teachers and students wore masks. Now, when I look at my grade 12 science class this fall, the majority prefer to wear a mask in the classroom. Well, that just goes to show you, grade 12, right? By the time you get to grade 12, folks, the last year in your education system until you get up into the post-secondary, right? But what this tells you, that's a failure of these teachers in these schools to teach genuine critical thinking skills for these students to actually sit down and observe what the reality is in terms of whether they're a threat. Now, is it because they're wearing this is the other thing too. Let me point this out. Initially, very few teachers and students wore masks. Now, when I look at my grade 12 science class this fall, the majority prefer to wear a mask. Is it that they prefer, or is it because they're mandated to by big government, or because the school system or the administrators or the people in charge of the school system are mandating or compelling these students to wear them? Because once again, I would suggest try not pumping up the fear, try not mandating that shit, and then see how many people would be conducive to sitting with a goddamn mask on all fucking day in a classroom. So once again, this lady's completely willing to propagandize, misconstrue reality, and misrepresent or over sensationalize the hype and fear, because once again, she's trying to sell a narrative here. What the hell? Doing an information poll, many of them shared my perspectives that even though masks alone cannot shield us, they're an important layer in indoor settings when it's not possible to physically distance. We've already started talking about the science of wearing masks in class, and although it's too soon to have heavy discussions about racism with my students this early on the school year, it's something I intend to work up to. So I would suggest, if you're a parent and you have got your students in the school where this Amanda Kong is out there in British Columbia, well, if you don't want them to be indoctrinated into that white guilt narrative, because that's the kind of student she's going to be talking to. It's not going to be the people of color in that class, right? No, it's going to be all the little white students. All the students that, just because they have skin tones that apparently is lighter than Amanda's here, that she's going to be trying to teach them that not only should you have white guilt, you better hang your head in shame. You terrible, terrible little white person with your goddamn privilege, right? Your institutionalized privilege and your institutionalized racist background and history and who you are as a person. Not only will they try to jam that in your head, but they're going to try to teach you to be good little conformists, not just accept that, but to accept any other kind of bullshit they want to jam down your throat too. So like I say, if you are someone in British Columbia and you know who this Amanda Kong is, you know what school she teaches at, yeah, you might want to be wise and proactive and take your kids the hell out of that classroom, because that's the kind of indoctrination. That's the kind of shit she's trying to jam down the throats of your students. And that is going to be quite detrimental for them. If you want to have any self-esteem or self-worth, yeah, yank them the hell out of that classroom immediately. I believe mask wearing is something that can be learned regardless of culture, and schools are the ideal place to promote this. Yeah, see? Oh, she understands very well the power of indoctrinating through the school system and how that can be horizontally enforced, right? We all know this is like, but it's nice to actually see that someone's willing to admit this shit, right? That's the thing. That's the only thing I'm taking away from this so far is this person knows full well that the school system, the education system, is the best place to indoctrinate the youth in this country, and they're taking full advantage of it. And we can look at Asia to see how it has been commonplace there. Like I said, lots of things are commonplace in Asian countries that, not necessarily a big fan of. I reached out to friends and colleagues who live in Asia, and they graciously shared their experiences with me. After the SARS outbreak in 2003, masks became a symbol of reassurance and solidarity in many Asian countries. In Taiwan, students and teachers both wear face masks during classes. Some of the teachers I spoke with said they felt uncomfortable and frequently breathless when speaking through a mask, but over time, the practice became habitual. They said there was no limitations on the quality of teaching and learning. In Singapore, and transparent face masks are used to teach students who rely on lip reading. So they felt uncomfortable and frequently breathless when speaking through a mask. But hey, suffer through that. Suffer, pick up that struggle. Make sure you're suffering for the greater good. Once again, that's what these collectivists are all about, is destroying or denying the individual and making you comply and conform and having to suffer, prolonged suffering, preferably if they have it, the entire course of your life for some concept of the greater good. But once again, that's them suggesting that you're not part of the greater good. If you have to be one of the ones suffering, well, that's not so much the good, right? But that's telling them that you aren't part of the greater good. Well, what the fuck is this greater good that you're talking about if you're asking people to suffer? What you're saying is, I want some people to be protected from suffering, but I want the other people to suffer for them, right? So what it is picking winners or losers, this time not necessarily in the economy, although that's part of the COVID bullshit as well, but in terms of who does the suffering. Because people are suffering, and she's even admitting it here. But hey, suck it up and suffer for what she believes to be the greater good, right? So again, folks, despite the inconvenience of masks, it's not just a fucking inconvenience. Fucking goddamn reject from the romper room. Some teachers felt there should be a greater emphasis on curbing the community spread over personal preference. In Hong Kong, teachers and students also wear their masks throughout the day. You mean the Hong Kong that China's basically taken back and put underneath their authoritarian thumb? That Hong Kong? And once again, don't give a fuck. People do all kinds of crazy ass shit all over the world. Hey, if you go to Saudi Arabia, you'll find some common practices of what? I don't know. I shouldn't say a particular thing, but they do some crazy ass things in some of those Middle Eastern countries in the Middle East too, that stop trying to bring that shit here. If you like that stuff, go where it's practiced, experience it, enjoy it. Once again, who am I to tell how other people's in foreign countries live? You do your thing. You do your thing. Just don't think you're going to try to force or impose that bullshit on me or the people that I care about. That's the thing. That's the beauty of the individual. That's the beauty of individual liberty and freedom and personal responsibilities. You do your shit. I don't give a fuck if you want to wear a mask and a fucking shield and wrap yourself into a big fucking goddamn inflatable bubble. I don't give a fuck what you do to yourself and what kind of way you want to go through your life, living in fear and hyped up sensationalist bullshit and living in misery, stoop misery, because you're too willing or you're too cowardly to think outside the box or have a little courage. You go ahead. If you want to live that way, you do you. Just stop trying to bring that shit to get people to try to impose that kind of nonsense on me or the people I care about. Okay. Children as young as 6 have been able to use their face masks. Oh, for fuck. They are taught verbal and visual cues to cultivate mask-wearing habits through spoken reinforcement and posters. Students are provided chin breaks. Chin breaks! Students are provided chin breaks where they can take off their masks outdoors. Chin fucking breaks, folks. Chin breaks. What's next? Put your handcuffs on because they might do something with their hands and get themselves in trouble. Hey, you wouldn't want to touch the wrong surface. Hey, maybe you could start putting handcuffs on them and give them wrist breaks every once in a while. Is that the next fucking bullshit? Anyways, moving on. Fuck. Many teachers I spoke to did not understand the controversy behind mandatory masks as they see its benefits outweigh the risks. Holy fuck. So she's even convincing some dipshit teachers, other teachers as well, huh? Well, like I said, it wouldn't fool me with this nonsense, but apparently there are lots of fools that are susceptible for following this kind of bullshit in this country. And yeah, I know all about it. In contrast, there was noticeably greater cultural resistance to wearing masks in Western culture. Yeah. It's all about that fucking individual liberty thing. Isn't that a pain in the ass for authoritarian collectivists? Huh? It's a real pain in the ass for these authoritarian collectivists to keep having to hammer away and chisel away about the importance of individual liberty in Western and being able to destroy that pretense of our culture. The very principles that is what created the West and the prosperity and the freedom that most people come to, the reason why the West became the best and why all these people came to this country was because of those individual rights and freedoms, the respect thereof, which used to be part and parcel of what it was to be part of the West. But once again, now they're trying to beat that out of the people so that what will become the next authoritarian collectivist regime or country in the world. Like I say, there's plenty of those. Pick one, go the fucking live there. Don't bring that shit to this country. And no, it has nothing to do with the fact of who you are in terms of your skin color or your heritage. It has to do with the kind of bullshit that you're trying to espouse and the kind of collectivism that you seem to really enjoy and adhere to and the promotion of such. That's what I'm pushing back against. Okay, what else we got here? Perhaps Western communication relies more on expressions, so masks are seen as an impediment to that. Perhaps SARS' impact was far greater to sway public opinion in Asia, and that's why the Asian community in Canada adopted mask wearing earlier on. How about you stop worried about what other fucking people do? You do you, leave other people alone. It's called the live, let live mentality. Maybe you should start thinking about that and adopting it if you want to live in these Western countries and stop, once again, trying to change this culture, the culture in this country to be better suitable or adapted to the culture that you seem to love over there in Asia. Those early efforts, which include self-isolation and masks to stop the spread of COVID-19 BC, appears to have paid off despite some of its members being stigmatized because of the virus, says infectious disease doctors. There's all kinds of doctors suggesting otherwise. So once again, just picking and choosing, right? Pick. Anyways. Data released by the province in June showed Richmond, BC, the city with the highest concentration of Chinese residents in the province, as having the lowest percentage of cases in the lower mainland, where the bulk of BC cases resided. Masks might help protect others from the virus, but not racism. Racist. You're saying that you're the one that's saying, oh, it's because the Chinese people. But all those white people or those. But wait a minute, aren't you a person of color? Like, this is the thing. How are you tying that in it? Is it Asian people? Because most Asian people aren't identified as people of color. So I'm just trying to figure out who you're talking about here. But I love how you're collectivizing and saying, well, it's the Asian people in BC. Oh, they're the people who are vastly superior. It's them damn pesky white people, those fucking knuckle dragger, people with what historically European descendants or what, or ancestry, right? Once again, folks. The people who are truly have those racist or collectivist type mindsets, they project in articles such as this, and that will definitely be shared in the description of this stream. But anyways, let me move on, because this is a story that I like to see that's a little bit of a pushback to that kind of nonsense. So you can get that kind of rhetoric, or you can listen to someone like this gentleman, this teacher in London, in a London high school, London, Ontario, not London, England. All right. Bring that up. This one's out of London. CBC News, London high school teacher calls face mask an egregious and unforgivable form of child abuse. Larry Farquharson wears a mask at work, calling it a condition of my employment. So he's admitting that he has to, he's forced, he's compelled to do it, not that he wants to. Anyways, this is reported by Colin Butler, September 28th, 2020. A London public high school teacher has written an email to a city hall committee asking politicians and health authorities to quash the city's controversial pandemic face covering bylaw, calling mask an egregious and unforgivable form of child abuse and physical assault. Larry Harson said he always wears a mask while interacting with students as a teacher librarian at H.B. Beale Secondary School, the first public school in the city to have a confirmed case of COVID-19, a confirmed case. He wrote the email dated September 21st to the city's Strategic Priorities and Policy Committee as a private citizen. So he didn't do it as a school teacher. The email was included in a packet of public documents for committee members to consider. The wearing of masks in indoor public places is recommended by federal, provincial, and local health authorities, and in some cases, legislated by some municipal governments, including the City of London. There's a lot of confusion and misinformation about the science behind non-medical face coverings as they remain the subject of vigorous debate. Some studies suggest non-medical face coverings, such as a reusable cloth mask, can reduce transmission of the virus from the wearer to others. However, such masks do not protect the wearer from potentially acquiring an infection from other people. So they're even admitting in this article that they do not protect the wearer from potentially acquiring an infection from other people. And as I've said already, if you read the packaging of these masks, you'll see that, yeah, even the manufacturers know damn well that it does not protect you, right? It cannot. And they're admitting that it can't. So there's that. But hey, there's a small chance that it might slightly reduce it. So yeah, put you through that kind of hell, that mental anguish, that fear-induced anxiety that a lot of the people, not just students, but the rest of Canadians are having to suffer because there's some small, minute chance that it may slightly reduce the potential of contacting COVID, right? Yeah. In his email, Farquharson called the campaign to legislate mask wearing a shameful farce, a charade, an act of political theater that's more about enforcing obedience and compliance than it is about public health. Hey, have you been watching my videos, Mr. Farquharson? Because yeah, those are words that definitely resonate with me. Obedience and compliance. Once again, this man knows what he's talking about, and he's functioning in the belly of the beast, just like Jordan Peterson. Some of these teachers need more and more. That's a fact. He did that correspondence when he was a private citizen, not while he was in school. Not because that's the thing. They have non-disclosure agreements. They're basically silenced and bullied into submission, and he knows that very well. Which is why he's having to do things. And even writing his letter, penning it as a private citizen, right? When he's not on duty, so he doesn't get himself in trouble for wrong think or wrong speak. He also likened children wearing masks to involuntary self-torture, calling it an egregious and unforgivable form of child abuse and physical assault. So anyways, folks, that's a great article. Like I say, I'll place a link to that in the description of the stream as well. I'm just going to check and see what you folks are saying, see how many other people join the chat. I'll try to go through them really quick because I got a lot of stuff I want to cover, tons of stuff I got to cover. But of course, you folks know I always like to see what's on your mind and what you're saying. Okay, so hello, Chong. Cheech and Chong. Right on, what's going on, Chong? Hello from, Bathurst, NB. Awesome. That is great. Up there in the old, you're getting close up to the North Shore, up there in Bathurst, about an hour, roughly about an hour northeast of Miramichi. Great part of the province, actually. Bathurst, real nice place. I've been up there. I've delivered up there. Actually, I've been all the way up to the North Shore, up around Caracat and places like that when I was hauling peat moss. A lot of big peat bogs and places in New Brunswick, and I've been up through there multitudes of times when I used to work for Blackville, Sullivan's Trucking out of Blackville, New Brunswick. But yeah, hey, thanks for joining the stream there from a fellow NBer. So thanks a lot. What else we got here? I'm going to have to change up the banner size here because, man, my eyes, well, I guess I could make it bigger. But no, let's do this here, folks. Let me switch this up just a little bit so I can see the comments a little better. There we go. That's a little better. That's better. Gab has no user base, and the guy in charge is insane. Gab has pretty substantial user base, and I don't know what you mean by the guy is insane. Andrew Torba, and even if he was, who cares? It's a platform. The guy could be a complete and utter fucking moron, like an embolent. It's a complete basket case. Who gives a shit? If the platform works and functions and it gives you the ability to express yourself, really, right? That's kind of the importance of it. But hey, to each their own. But hey, nice for you to join the stream there, Quebecer 740. If you're not a fan of Gab, then don't go on it. But once again, I'm on there, and even like I say, it's not like I converse with the actual guy that started it. So what does that even matter, right? Even if you're not a fan of Zuckerberg, right? When you go on Facebook and create your little marketplace or something to sell your wares, does it really matter? you know, how Mark could be the most insane dude on the planet, really. But when you're selling a product on Facebook, and if it works out for you as a business model, then great. But anyways, because once again, the platforms at the end of the day, really, a platform is just what it should be, is just the platform. That's what matters most. You have a platform that gives you the ability to speak freely. And if that's your key component and what drives you to those spaces, then that should be the determining factors, whether you frequent them or not. Anyways, these dishonest, insane articles, writers are getting old. Are they ever? They are. And I'm getting old as I'm reading them. Hey, what's going on, Leo? Nice to see you in the chat there, buddy. School boards make up their own rules here and made kids do it, even though the county didn't mandate. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's bureaucracy, man. That's the thing. And that's how a lot of the political class are escaping, you know, and hoping that they won't be negatively affected out there in that political landscape, because they're like, hey, it wasn't me. It's like, okay, good one. Yeah, you just pass that off to your subordinates, give them the authority to do the mandates and dictates, right? And then you're like, hey, it wasn't me. Yeah, oh, well, really? Who's in charge of these fucking people, right? Nobody? What are they, just a bunch of anarchists? Are they no rulers? No rules? That's the thing. Government's like, anarchy's bad, except for us, because people in government like, no, we don't like fucking rules. And people in government don't have any rulers, right? Because they are the rulers. So it's like, people in government really do love their anarchy. And just like the old thing, Ron Paul and other people who say government can't stand competition. The reason why they don't want anyone to have anarchy or genuine freedom or not have rulers is because they like to be the rulers. They're the ones that don't want to have rulers themselves, but they want to be a ruler. So they can't allow anyone else in Canada to have any anarchy, because then they don't get to experience or enjoy their form of anarchy, right? So it's also crazy, folks. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Animal Farm. Yeah, exactly, right? So true, Rika. So true. Good one. Yeah, chin breaks. You like that one, eh, Corey? Chin breaks. That's so wild. Chin break. Oh, that is some wild stuff, folks. Wild stuff. The virus knows when the chin breaks are and synchronizes. Yeah, that's it, right, Rika? That's exactly the virus. Like, okay, all right, we got to coordinate our efforts here. It's so insane. What's going on, Stan? Got to watch the new South Park COVID. Oh, I plan on watching that for sure. I could just imagine, man. I love those guys, Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Those guys are hilarious. And actually, that's one of the few things that I miss out in not having, because we just have Netflix and and on our TV, we have a smart TV where you can have different, I won't even say which ones, but they're just these streaming services. There's a couple streaming services that you can use. And that's basically what we use, our streaming services mostly. But that is one thing I do miss about not having the old cable TV. But I'm not going back to have cable TV, that's for sure. I wish I could have like South Park, just go straight and directly have it like on some device somewhere. And maybe at some point in time, I'll figure out where I can do that. There's one Hulu. I think Hulu seems to be one of these streaming services that might, I'm not sure if they carry South Park or not, but I do miss not having access to episodes of South Park, especially the new ones. I love South Park. It's a great show. But thanks for letting me know, because yeah, I'll be definitely checking it out when I get the opportunity to do so. Insanity reigning supreme throughout the land. You're so right there, Corey. Okay, I'm going to get down here because, like I say, Captain Nobody. Hello, Captain Nobody. Hello, Canuck Libertarian. Great show. Thank you very much, Captain Nobody. Appreciate that. Get your shot. Get your shot, boys. Get your shot. Okay. So let me close this because, yeah, I got this one already saved, so I can close this one. Close that. I can close this one with favorite over here, though. Make sure I don't lose that. Yeah. What's the next one we can go with? Oh, let's go with this. This is another really important aspect of this whole code thing. I've talked about it in the past, but now that another article has come up dealing with it, well, let's bring this back into the light, right? Because this is another thing that doesn't get talked about nearly enough in terms of this whole COVID-19, the lockdowns and the fear narrative, right? So where are we at here? So as you can see, look at this. And this is this is out of CBC News Ottawa, more than 15,000 surgeries postponed in Eastern Ontario due to pandemic. So that part of Ontario. So just that one area of Ontario, right? 15,000 surgeries postponed. And we all have already heard the stories that have come out of people have died because of their surgeries being postponed. And I mean, it's not just people dying. Think of all the other harms, right? The physical pain they may be suffering, what it's doing for the family members that are having to deal with this stuff too, or the healthcare providers that are having to now prolong this because of the fact that they can't get the surgeries to maybe move on to dealing with other people with ill health or needing help. And there's only a finite amount of resources to spend around. There's only so many doctors and nurses and all these people in these facilities. So prolonging and postponing these surgeries, like I say, it comes with a tremendous amount of intended or unintended consequences. And this is just one portion of Ontario. Not even the biggest portions of Ontario, like the GTA. Imagine what it's like there, right? So, and then you got to take and think about how many more thousands or hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions. Don't know about that number per se, but across the entire country of Canada in all jurisdictions, right? Hospitals need more money from provinces to help clear backlogs, says that. Yeah, it's just about money, is it? It's always about money, right? No, maybe we should have like private healthcare where private individuals, investors can set up some healthcare facilities. And once again, where people can hold them to account. And a private institution or investors, once again, accountability is there if you actually leave accountability on the table and don't have the top-down government regulations or mandates, which opposes or restricts their ability to have some kind of way to hold themselves to account. That's the problem. The market can do this stuff, but if government interjects and interferes or intervenes to prevent market participants from holding particular actors or individuals or corporations to account, well, once again, that's government's fault, not the fault of the private sector or not the fault of the private corporation or business. So, yeah, money might be needed, maybe, but once again, you can't say that without market being the driver or, basically the driver in determining that outcome, because the market's the only way to figure that stuff out. Top-down central planning or authoritarianism fails in every regard at doing so. Hospitals in Eastern Ontario and whatever Outaouais are dealing with a lengthy backlog of surgical procedures that were either postponed or canceled to free up space and staff amid the pandemic. And we've seen, they got to free up that space, but yet these hospitals were not only were they not overwhelmed, but a lot of these spaces stayed vacated and never filled, and these surgeries are still on the backlog. So why keep these people suffering needlessly, especially once the couple weeks went by? Remember, it was about, we're just doing this to flatten the curve. Remember, that was the big fucking thing. We got to flatten the curve. We got to flatten the curve. We got to make sure our hospitals aren't overwhelmed. Well, after a couple of weeks of realizing that, okay, we're not overwhelmed. How about, let's bring in some people. Let's get some surgeries going on, folks, because we got a lot of empty beds and a lot of empty surgery rooms that we need to start getting people to work and doing some shit around here. But it's like, I guess they were enjoying their paid vacation, not having to do anything. So everyone's like, well, hey, don't rock the boat. Let's enjoy the fact that we're not having to do anything, and let's, make some videos with us dancing around. Once again, I don't know. Anyways, I'll place a link to this in the description of the video as well. But as you can see, this is more consequence of the lockdowns, the mandates, and the hype and fear that the media has been putting forth, and the political class. A lot of consequences that are having massive negative effects on tens of thousands of people in this country. And that, like I say, that's just one area of the country. So let me close that one as well. What else would you got here? Oh, yes. And once again, well, I'm just going to bring this up. I won't have to talk about it very much, but I'm just, like I say, got to get all this stuff on record. Hey, let me check this out. Oh, thank you very much, Fraser McBurney. I really appreciate the oh, wait, that was right too. Someone had actually donated, and I forgot to check who that was last time. I really apologize. Damn, I get so much on my mind. I forget to do these things from time to time. Anyways, whoever it was in that last stream, thank you very much for your donation. And I really, really genuinely apologize for not getting to it at the moment. I was having that conversation with that young man. I didn't want to interrupt his flow, and stuff. But anyways, let me get to this. So Fraser McBurney, thank you once again. Yesterday we had a pop-up huge. Oh, Hugs Over Masks at Hamilton City Hall. This weekend, we're holding another Hugs Over Masks at City Hall. Come join. Excellent. So anyone that's watching this, if you're anywhere near Hamilton, yeah, get out there and support these folks, because really that's what we need to see. We need to see some big numbers, kind of like what I've seen, and I'm really impressed. Mad respect for the folks in Quebec. Mad respect for the folks, and actually in BC. Dan Dix was there, and a few other people. What was it? The Liberty something, some other liberty-oriented YouTube channel that I follow. But Dan Dix in particular, Press for Truth. Yeah, he was there, and I seen the amazing amount of, man, it went on for a long time. All the people that were marching in protest against the mask mandates and the COVID lockdowns and restrictions imposed by big government. And I was really, really happy and pleased to see that. And actually, there has been some in Ontario, in like downtown Toronto, that were decent. But once again, when you think about the population size in the GTA and in the Hamilton region, yeah, we should see much, much, much bigger numbers, folks. Come on. You guys got a bigger population than Montreal. You got a bigger population than even some of these urban centers out in British Columbia. So come on, Ontario and Hamiltonians, get the hell out there and join your peers and show some solidarity and support and get those numbers out there so the media can no longer ignore or avoid the reality and the pushback that we are all out there desperate and trying to put on display. So just like Fraser McBurney here is saying, get out there and join them, folks. If you're in that region, and even if you're a little bit outside it, it would definitely be worth the drive. Even if you got to drive an hour or two, it would definitely be worth the drive to, once again, show some solidarity and get those numbers up there and get the media, the pundit class, the political class out there actually seeing that, damn, more and more people are starting to come to realization that their freedoms should not only be infringed, but they should be stood up and defended. And that's what they need to see. That's what the media, that's what the political establishment, the political class needs to see, is more and more Canadians saying, no, screw you. We're going to finally stand up in defense of our liberties, and to hell with you, right? So good for you. Good for you. But yeah, thank you very much, Fraser. And thank you once again for the awesome donation. Appreciate that as well. Got to get rid of universal healthcare. Universal healthcare, and that's the thing, is not even universal, as we know. That these words they use for them, universal suffering. Right? That's what you get. Because, yeah, listen, as a Canadian, I mean, it's better than nothing, right? Could you say it's better than nothing? Yes. But in most examples, you've probably, if you dealt with and you've gone through the health system, and I don't have to, fortunately, I rarely have to go through, but the few times in my life that I had, there's been some times where it's worked out pretty good, but there's been other times like, what the hell? You people seem to be very incompetent. And once again, it's because of the culture that's been, that's the thing, that top-down authoritarianism, collectivism, and being in the public sector, it really destroys incentive and ability to hold each people to account or to a high standard or high bar. And come on, that's just a reality. And we all know this. We all complain about the inefficiency of government and anything that they lay their dirty, grubby fingers on. Just some people have pet causes that are like, oh, except there, right? And in Canada, a lot of people say like, yeah, government sucks at everything except healthcare, because I love my health. I love my socialized healthcare. It's like, well, you keep telling yourself whatever you want, but the reality is that it's omnipresent. It's all around us. So you can avoid it. You can try to deny it, but it's still going to be there regardless. Anyways. Okay, let me get down there. Saniko, we got a Saniko in the chat. Top of the morning, folks. Thank you for joining the stream, Saniko. Really appreciate that, my friend. So let me get back. Okay, where else was I? So yeah, there was this article, once again, let me bring this up, about the cases, because that's what they're hammering home in now, right? And now that cases, right? Cases, what the fuck does that mean? It's cases, big deal, there's cases. Cases don't mean shit. Are there more deaths? Is there a rampant spike in deaths or intensive care unit hospitalizations or people being placed in intensive care units? Nope. But there's more cases. What would you do? There's also a tremendous amount of more testing, because there's all these testing facilities that are now finally being set up way late, as per usual. Once again, government ineptness, failure. That is government, right? And basically, I'm just describing government when I say ineptness and fail on multitude of levels. But once again, they're going to hype up that there's cases. So there's cases. Anyways, let's just read. Because like I say, the hype in the article, sometimes even they tamp down the hype when you start reading through the article, but they rely on most people to not get that far in and just listen to the hype and then regurgitate and repeat it. Behavioral experts say measures must be clear, consistent, and targeted. So this was posted October 1st, 2020. Canada's experiencing numbers of COVID-19 cases not seen since the height of the pandemic in the spring. In some provinces, they are even higher. Ontario registered 700 new cases of coronavirus on Monday, the most in a single day since outbreak began in late January. Meanwhile, they're like testing thousands of, like they're ramped up testing. So of course, if you ramp up testing, you're going to see an increase in case. Like, oh, come on. Anyways. So look, oh, look. Well, this is back from March and April. Remember, this was the peak in cases, right? Look, it's showing now. See how they're trying to show how that line, how it dipped? Look. Like way back where daily average in cases was daily average 570. But look, they're saying here, look, but over here, oh, look at that, 538. We're almost up to the daily averages in terms of cases. So look, it's going to be just as deadly as, oh, wait a minute. But that's just the cases. We know back here that deaths, especially in those government regulated and controlled long-term care facilities, we know the deaths were quite high and spiked quite substantially back then. But once again, not among the regular population, not among the other 90+% of Canadians who are like, whatever, didn't do shit to me, right? But the increase in deaths, and a full 85% of them at the time was in these long-term care facilities. But once again, is there a correlation in these spike in cases today with that amount of deaths? Not even close, not even on an order of magnitude, like so much lower, like way, it pales in massive comparison to what, a couple, 2, 3 people dying a day, as opposed to maybe, hundreds or whatever at one point in time. So like, it's just more pumping up fear and hype. But once again, you got to dig down in the numbers. You got to be more critical in your thinking skills, which most people aren't these days, thanks to the education, the media, and the political class, because they don't want people thinking critically, right? That's, if people thinking critically, then these media hacks, the people that are indoctrinating our youth, our kids, right, or our grandkids, like their business model completely goes up in the air, or their whole positions basically cease to exist because you no longer would need them, right? But anyways, look at this stuff. They're just pumping up the fear. Here we go. Quebec recorded more than 800 new daily cases twice this week, including 896 on Sunday. Its highest daily increase since May. So once again, look at them. They're trying to show this is look at. But once again, Quebec was the same thing. Long-term healthcare facilities had not just the spike in cases early on, because, of course, early on, it's when the cases were finally coming. It's like when the virus was coming to this country, cases spiked. Duh. And death spiked as a consequence of the failure and the ineptness of big government regulators or these people to do the right thing in these long-term healthcare facilities. But once again, just because you're seeing the increase in spike or in cases, what does that mean in terms of mortality, intensive care unit or hospitalization rates, right? As you'll see, not even close. And both Alberta and BC are also seeing higher daily case numbers with case counts in the hundreds. The premiers of the country's two biggest provinces blame people when they say who they say are socializing too much and too closely, foregoing social distancing in their bubbles once again. Well, of course they're going to blame that because they want to present that as the narrative, because it's all about control. The question is, what will it take to get people on board? There is evidence that people have relaxed when it comes to observing some public health guidelines. Some analysts blame fatigue with the rules or the feeling that certain individuals believe that they aren't at risk of becoming sick. Oh, you mean they're paying attention to the facts, the reality? But behavioral and medical experts suggest it's more complicated than that, attributing people's change in behavior since the height of the lockdown on confusing and consistent messaging from political or health officials and a loosening of rules that came too earlier. So once again, they're going to come up with their own reasoning, but is that necessarily true? Well, once again, it's based on their speculative or subjective opinions. And if you're willing to fall for it, right? If they're saying you can have large gatherings, isn't that saying there's less of a risk? Yeah, it is. Says Susan Michie, a professor of health psychology and director at the Center for Behavioral Change at UCL in London, England. Why are you quoting someone from London, England for this? Like, once again, think about how many people you could pick. I mean, think about how many people's subjective opinions are out there. You could basically pick from anyone. Just tell one of these stories, and that's what the CBC does. They pick from people they know that are going to basically espouse or spew the same kind of bullshit to line with their narrative. That's what, because you could get people like myself that would say completely opposite of what these people say. So when they selectively choose who they want you to hear from, that's for a reason, folks. When we have restaurants and bars opening, we telegraph to people that it's okay to be in a large gathering with no mask on as long as you're in a restaurant. Infection disease epidemiologist Colin Furness told CBC News, and therefore, why not in your living room? The mixed messaging is a real problem. So I guess this guy would want you when you're sitting in the living room with your family, put on that fucking mask, right? Why? Why, dipshit? Why? You fucking morons. Fuck these goddamn healthcare so-called experts and professionals. They're a bunch of petty tyrants, these fucksticks. People want to follow rules. Mitchie said political officials' approach to rule breakers is key. Most important, she said, don't play the blame game and threaten fines. If certain people are not adhering, understand why they're not. What are the problems? Try and solve those problems. Enforcement should only be a very last resort. Well, that I would agree with. She says usually a small minority who are not following the rules, and it's often not because they don't want to. There we go. Might get a little snippet of truth down here a little bit further down. But once again, look at how far you got to get down to get into that. It's always the hype and the bullshit that comes first and foremost, and that's what most people read and take away. The data shows that often people do intend to, but it's either a problem of, again, being confused about what they or are not meant to be doing, or it's a case of opportunity. She advises governments to consult with representatives of the groups who are most often not adhering to the rules and work from the bottom up. Yeah, probably be a better idea, right? Okay. Target especially the groups that are most challenged in terms of adhering to restrictions and work with them to coordinate or to co-create strategies. Listen to them. Understand. What are the real barriers? Exactly. For example, she said, some people may not self-isolate because they have to go to work to put food on the table or because they may lose their job. They may need to care for someone outside their home, or they may want to maintain a 2-meter distance from others while getting outdoors, but live in a crowded city where park space fills up quickly. Officials have to be aware there are real challenges, he said. Don't just say we're all in this together. Show us we are. That's about the only thing that, like I say, so far is making any sense. Yes, a lot of people aren't doing it because they're like Doug Ford is trying to suggest, bunch of fucking yahoos or bunch of fucking idiots. Fuck you, Doug. Anyways, you piece of shit sniveling loser. What a disappointment that guy has turned out to be, right? But anyways, no, there are people like this person is fucking actually owning up to finally, is that people might have to actually go to work so they can eat. Kind of really important to eat. Kind of really important to sustain yourself. That's kind of how us humans keep ourselves going. Matter of fact, that's how all of nature, right? You got to eat, right? You got to keep that roof over your head. Being homeless, look, I did everything that the government told me and I didn't contact COVID, but I'm broke, starving to death, and homeless, right? Oh, yay, dipshits. Yeah, this stuff really grinds my gears because, like I say, if there was anyone that was acting like true adults and not trying to play these fucking ridiculous political games and waiting so long into an article like this before even getting remotely resembling anything that makes any sense, like this is the problem. This is the problem. And CBC has shown to be such a massive fail, and they don't properly inform the public. CBC is fucking sole task, right, as Canada's national public broadcaster, is to properly educate and inform the people regarding these kinds of events in the news and situations that are happening and unfolding, right? And to hold government to account. Actually, that's the two fundamental aspects of having journalism or journalists, is to hold government to account, to be adversarial to government. What does CBC do? Constantly repeat, regurgitate, and parrot political talking points brought to you by big government. In particular, the Trudeau Liberals and anyone else that basically going along with this bullshit narrative of fear-induced hype and sensationalism, right? In regards to the COVID-19 outbreak or whatever you want to call it these days. And that's another thing. Pandemic. Is it really considered a pandemic anymore? How can you keep calling something a pandemic when you get to the point where deaths are basically, when do you stop calling it a pandemic? When nobody fucking dies? At some point, isn't there a fucking measure that determines and dictates when something should be considered a pandemic? Can we stop using the term pandemic now? Shouldn't we? Well, at least I'm not. But like I say, the hacks in the media, the ones that want to stir up that fear and hype, they love using it. And then here we go. Simon Bacon agrees the approach officials take is key. The professor of behavioral medicine at Concordia University is co-leading an ongoing study into Canadians adhering to pandemic measures, including hand washing, distancing, and avoiding gatherings. He said the vast majority of Canadians are adhering to the rules. But once again, the vast majority of Canadians are still having their fucking lives restricted and mandates imposed upon them, even though they're doing the right thing. That's a major problem for me, is making other people suffer and treating them like second-class citizens, or punishing them when they're doing the right thing. That's the problem with these top-down authoritarian mandates and collective endeavors that treat us all the same. Is, yeah, it doesn't leave any area out there to respect the people who are being personally responsible, right? So once again, but that's what government does. That is what government is. It's a one-size-fits-all approach that causes more harm than it ever does good. That is basically government in a nutshell. For every little tiny bit of gain or benefit people think that or perceive that they gain from having government control and dictating every aspect of their social and economic lives, there's a multitude of ways where it's caused more detriment and more harm than that little bit of good. But people are always only willing to, because the media keeps pointing them that direction, and the hacks and the establishment institution, government funded or government imposed, because taxpayers pay for all this shit. But you know what I mean when I say government institutions, whether you're like in Canada, which basically construes a tremendous aspect of the society, right? Of aspects of not just the economy of society, is because government basically controls almost everything in this fucking country these days. But I mean, come on. Government fail. And once again, they just want to misdirect people from acknowledging the massive amount to fail and only look at that tiny, tiny sliver of so-called good that they might do. And there might be some aspects of good that you can deem from government. But once again, that means you have to ignore and avoid all the detrimental bad things that is a consequence. So forget about that huge amount, that 800-pound gorilla of terrible things that government does to society, both socially and economically, and concentrating on that small sliver of so-called positive things that government does. Is, once again, it's to live in a delusional world, in a self-induced delusional bubble where you're not thinking critically about the actual real world that surrounds you, right? But I mean, basically even saying the practice of hand washing, social distance. Anyways, I'm just going to close this up because basically, yeah, you folks get this anyway. So I'll place a link to this in the description of the stream as well. Let's see if there's any more comments, and then I'll get back into covering some more articles. Hey, Frenchman, what's going on there, Frenchman? Hey, Frenchman, I think you're the guy that was commenting on my chat with the, what was it, young man there? Ryan, right? Yeah, young Ryan there. It was a good chat, although we both kind of got sidetracked. I had a bunch of points up there that I was trying to stick to, but I wanted to keep the conversation, the flow rather well. And it was a nice little foray into having the conversation with the young man. I'd love to have another conversation as well, but I will point out to you too, a Frenchman, if you're the guy that's commenting on the thing, I invite you, if you believe that I was wrong in some ways, in terms of our conversation, and would like to clarify some things or something that you would like to push back against in what I said, I invite you onto the channel as well. Just send a message to me on any of my social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Minds, Gabs. I'm on ThinkSpot, Locals, on quite a few platforms. But if you want, reach out to me, Canadian Libertarian, on all of them except Twitter. On Twitter, I'm CAN_Libertarian. But yeah, send a message and I'll invite you on to have a conversation anytime, because actually there was a lot of stuff that I didn't quite get to cover. A lot of great points that I still had up my sleeve, but unfortunately, but I'm sure maybe even Ryan didn't get to them as well. But yeah, I would definitely be willing to engage in that conversation with you. So, so reach out to me. Paul Lucas, where are we at here? Okay, where do we go? There we go. Wait a minute. Paul Lucas in Oshawa, population 165,000, 29 deaths outside of nursing homes since January 1st. 0 deaths since June. Yet under 4's new lockdown. See, this is the kind of stuff. See, this is the kind of top-down authoritarianism and collectivism. It's like, what the fuck? What the hell? Right? Like, forget about reality. They're just going to use fears like, ooh, even one death's too many. Oh, you're going to try to prevent one death from COVID, by causing a whole lot of death, devastation, and destruction, both socially and economically over here. But let's just focus on that. We can't have one person die from COVID, right? Which you're not preventing anyways. But forget about all the other things that's happened, the detriment, the death, the destruction, like I say, social and economic. Forget about all that. Once again, look over here, folks. Try to distract you, right? Wow. Okay. That's crazy. But thanks for letting me know about that, Paul. Yeah. How dare I? You're right. Shame on me, right, Stan? Huge disappointment. Huge. Yeah. Speaking of huge, Dougie looks pretty huge himself. Huge. But yeah. Oh, by the way, though, yeah. Hello there, Frenchman. Hello to you. Hello. A coof? A coof? What's a coof? I'm not sure what the coof is there, Frenchman. A coof. A coop? As in coop? Maybe it's supposed to be an F? No, I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, I was actually a Frenchman. Speaking of a Frenchman, once again, if you're a Frenchman, actually, if you're in Quebec, I would love that. What's that guy that has that radio program that the media's calling them all the worst names ever? Actually, Ezra Levant. Let me see. Where was that? Ezra was covering it in one of his articles. Let me see if I can, because this is kind of important. Let me, but anyways, if any of you folks, actually not just a Frenchman, but any of you folks, if you're watching the stream and you're in Quebec and you know of this gentleman, or if you know how I'll try to find even myself maybe a way to contact him. But the guy that the media is now trying to attack him for being, I don't know, the typical, was he a Nazi or a zine? I don't know, the constant insults. Where was that? Trying to find it here. One sec here. One sec. Where? Darn it. Was it not? Maybe it wasn't. Geez, maybe it wasn't actually on. Maybe it wasn't a YouTube video that I was watching. Just going to continue looking here for just another minute, folks. Bear with me. Darn it. All right, maybe if I just go to the Rebel News channel, because I swear it was Rebel News, wasn't it? Or maybe that's where I'm mistaken. Maybe it wasn't Rebel News. Dang. My goodness. Okay. Or actually, if I just look through the ones that I've seen. No, I'm not seeing it. Anyways. Boy, that's annoying that I'm not finding that. Because I forget. Anyways, he's a radio host, right? Got his own, I think, yeah, it's like even on the radio station, I believe, in Quebec. Actually, somebody might be pointing this out in the stream. Maybe they know. Let me scroll down here. Quebec City is a total social state. For the most part, loving it. They wake up and it's not the socialist utopia they had in mind. Yeah, no doubt. Choi 980. That might be it, Corey. That might be it. Anyways, any one of these people, because like I say, in Quebec, they have a lot of freaking oomph. Like they seem to be having a lot of courage to stand up. And this guy is being attacked. And what I was suggesting is I would gladly bring him onto this channel and give him the ability to say what he has to say, what's on his mind, and defend himself. especially for English speaking Canada, because I'm sure he's doing that already. But, for English speaking Canadians or people that are, that watch my channel or more into Liberty in terms of the English speaking portion of Canada, I'd love to have him on for him to be able to stand up and defend himself and have the ability to do so on a channel, like I say, that's English speaking, so I can get his side of the story and put it out there so that people can see that he's being massively misrepresented based on what I know. I don't know the man personally, obviously, but based on from what I'm hearing, the way the media is talking about him. But yeah, that would be great. Oh, Rene Legault. Hey, are you in Quebec? Of course, doesn't necessarily mean just because you're Legault. But anyways, I walked away from the Libs and never again. They are wrecking this country. So true, Rene. So true. And not just the Libs. The Conservatives wouldn't be a whole lot better. I'll tell you that. Like, libertarians are the only people like that, adherents to like classical liberal or libertarian or even some of the like historical, but these are people that are not functioning in any of the establishment parties, or if they are, they have no power within them. So you're not going to use the establishment parties politically to bring about any freedom in this country. Matter of fact, I think culture is where that has to take place. I don't think politics is going to do it. I think politics, as I've said many times before, is downstream of that culture. You got to create the culture that's conducive with promoting and adhering to liberty before you try to bring that into something where you just check off a box, right? Because right now, as we recognize, most Canadians are going to check off the box on bring more slavery, more subjugation, more taxes, more economic enslavement, more mandates, more impositions, and more mandates imposed upon us. Because that's what they're used to, right? It's just like the boiling frog. They're so used to it. And so, more, please. It's starting to cool now. Turn that temperature up just a little bit more. It's a sad reality, but yeah, we got to get people to thinking a little bit more critically about what it is to be a free human being, and want to actually be free rather than being coddled from cradle to grave. Because that's another thing in Canada is very prominent and prevalent is people need or think they need big government to take care of them from cradle to grave because they've been taught that they're apparently just incapable of providing for themselves. What a sad reality. But yeah, thanks for the plan on voting libertarian. Awesome. Can't handle the nonsense. That's great to hear, Renee. That's great to hear. And even though voting, I'll tell you straight up, it's, obviously, unless you got a whole lot of people in your riding that are of like-minded and are going to help, do that to bring enough numbers so that you can put that into the political realm, right? And that's the thing with a democracy. You need a lot of people to join you there. But yeah, by at least voting for a libertarian, like what I'm going to do from now on when I do step out to vote, is at least you can say that you made the principal choice. That really and allows you to be able to sleep better at night and knowing that you're not playing these stupid fucking games of the left, right, or the LibCon duopoly that so many people are in this country. So good for you. Good for you. Oh, awesome. I would love to talk. I will certainly. That's great, Frenchman. That's great because I love it. I love having these kinds of conversations. And if you're like a young man Ryan there, if you're respectful, and during the exchange, I'm totally on board, right? I'm totally on board. I love to have conversations. And it's not that I think I know everything. It's not like I think I've made that clear too. But of course, it's so easy to pick out a snippet because once again, it's always about context. So it's not like I think I know everything. But of course, it's like with math, like I think one of the comments you were saying more or less, well, when I said to Ryan, well, I used to think that way. And now it's just like, there are some things that some things that you can say to be objectively true. And to be objectively true is just like I said, that, well, I can prove objectively that, and I didn't get to finish it with Ryan, but I'll do it. Although if you look through my past videos, there's no such thing as legitimate government. Objectively, that can be proven to be true because I don't have any authority to steal from my neighbors or to subject them to whatever my whims or edicts are, nor can I delegate an authority that I don't have onto someone else. Like magic doesn't exist. What I'm trying to say though is what I try to do is I try to help speed up people's ability to get to the point where I did, but maybe I shouldn't do that. Let people take longer. I'm just the kind of person that I would like, even with my own family members or other people that I'm telling them to build an engine and finding practices, doesn't mean there's a one size fits all or anything. But I suggest if your end goal is to get to this point, and objectivists seem to be getting government to the minimalist as it can, like the night watchman state. Well, the best way to do that is to be more honest and forthright with the people. And like I say, if your objective analysis and what government is straightforward, clear, and concise, then you don't have to keep creating these contradictions in your mind. So really all it is for me at the end of the day is not about insulting other people or thinking that I'm superior to them. Because once again, I've had to adapt and grow myself to get to this point. So I've had to go through that same kind of learning curve that Ryan has. And all I'm trying to do is help him and you or anyone else for that matter. It's not that I think that I am like this super genius and, oh, I just have this amazing knowledge that only I can hold or retain. No, I just, once again, just trying to help people out to get from point A to B. Of course, other people, if you want to take your own route to get to that point, fine. Just like if I knew a shortcut, right, through the woods to someplace, like maybe you don't want to go through the shortcut. Okay, that's fine, right? I'm just saying, but there is a shortcut over here. You don't have to take it. And if you don't want to take it, I'm not going to tell you have to. Once again, I'm a libertarian. You do your thing and I'll do me. I'm just saying that I found myself, there's a shortcut over here, works really well. And I don't have to fill my mind with a bunch of stuff that seems to confuse things even further is all I'm saying. But anyways, thanks for offering to reach out, because I'll be looking forward to that. Okay, where are we at here? Jim McCole. Hey, or what's going on, McCole? Hey, hello, peeps. Hey, your last name probably triggers some of the lefties out there, right? The environmentalists, I should say. Jim McCole. Oh, no, Jim McCole. Just kidding. Anyways, thanks for joining the stream. Hey, if you haven't already there, Jim, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to this channel, be really appreciated. If you click on that bell icon, you can either hit all notifications or some of the notifications, and you get notified every time I either upload a new video or I put on a stream like this, so you don't have to worry about missing out when I'm doing it going forward. But yeah, thanks for joining the stream, Jim. Oh yeah, okay, we're down further than this now. Okay. Oh, millennials are stupid. Not all. Hashtag not all. Doug Ford's an idiot. Yeah, I agree with that. In certain areas, there might be some areas in his life where he's not a complete moron, but in terms of how he's covering this whole outbreak or the COVID reaction, yeah, cough. Cough. Oh, cough. Was that something that you were going to say up there earlier? Anyways, I'll have to scroll down because I get too caught up in this stuff, then takes me forever to get back. Quebec is completely tyrannical. Well, once again, maybe the Quebec government is doing some things that are completely tyrannical. But once again, the Quebec people are showing that they're against that tyranny. That's why you can't use a statement like that. But I kind of get what you're saying. But yeah, the Quebec government may very well be trying to impose some tyrannical aspects onto their society, onto their province. But hey, the Quebec people, or at least a substantial portion of them, are saying screw you and doing the like this. So I'm really, really happy and proud of the French people for what they're doing. Or at least that portion of the French people are doing that. Okay. I moved to BC 10 years ago and only check in on my family. I will dig in. Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Once again, I think Corey might have had it, but it's that guy jumping here. Hold on. Jeff Leon. Is that him? Let me try typing that in. He has a hot history of controversy. I like how you put law in air quotes. Okay, what's this? I love to look at the angle of law and the claim of rulership. I will ensure to prepare for a rich, interesting conversation. I'm a philosophical voluntarist. We agree. Oh, if you're a voluntarist, then yeah. Even with objectivists, I get along great with most objectivists. We're like I say, we're like 95% in terms of respect and adhering to liberty and the promotion and such. We're like only a 5 degrees of separation per se. So like, once again, I'm not looking to insult objectivists, voluntarists, libertarians, even minarchists. I'm totally, hey, we're like I say, we're fellow travelers. All I'm trying to say, just like with anytime I'm out with anyone, even if I'm, like I say, even in my racing field, I look for other people to help me, and if they're willing to help me out and figure out ways maybe to do better port and polishing methods on my cylinder heads and stuff, I'm always looking for people who are willing to give advice and help me out in some way. And that's really all I offer in the day, not to come off as superior in any way, just helping each other. That's all I'm wanting to do in terms of people who are, like I say, already there in terms of understanding, for the most part, just how detrimental government is in terms of imposing its will, or the people who represent the state, their will on the rest of us in society. He has a hot issue. That sounds like it might be him. I'm going to type that in. Jeff Fillion, or is it Fillion? Here, let me try this. I don't know if that's him, but here, let me see. Jeff Fillion. Quebec, because it should be something in the news if that's him, right? That came up. Yeah, that might be it. Oh, wait now. Fired by Bell Media. Was that the one? Maybe that might not have been it. Oh, this is way back in April of 2016. Sounds like that might not be him. I don't believe that is the Quebec. Let me see. I think he's a radio host. Radio host. Let's try this. Let's see if anything comes up. Darn it. Why am I having such an issue with Quebec? I think he's a radio host. Is it was it COVID related? Lockdowns, maybe? I don't know. Or masks? Quebec's political class takes on. Yeah, no, this is it. This is it. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, I believe this is it. So let me bring this up. This is the guy for you folks here. Let me bring this up here. Share screen. This is the guy. I don't think this is the exact article, but this is definitely the guy. Because, yeah, it was Radio X. I should have known that as a Gen Xer. I should have known because it's like, yeah, that X stood out to me at the time. So let me just bring this up for you folks here in case you're not familiar with this article. Quebec's political class takes on radio station that gives voice to the anti-mask movement. Oh, okay, so it's the anti-mask. So ads pulled from Quebec City's notoriously controversial. Oh, wait a minute. It is that CHOI. So, yeah, you were right on the money. Who was it that said that? Corey. Corey was the one that said that. So, yeah, you were right on the money. Radio X, Koi. I'll put this on the link of the description of the stream as well. So let's just read a little bit. On an overcast Sunday in the middle of May, a group, this is back in a while, but anyways, a group of 60 people from Montreal area jumped in their cars and drove to the National Assembly in Quebec City to protest, among other things, World Health Organization tyranny. Yeah. They were brought together through an obscure Facebook group, and a straight line can be drawn between the caravan and the decision this week by Quebec City Mayor Regis Leborgne to yank his municipal administration's ads. Yeah, this is it, from CHOI Radio X, a talk radio outlet known for its abiding love of controversy. So, yeah, I think you folks pretty much had it figured out there. Around the same time that May protest was being organized, an accountant and fringe politician named Stéphane Blaise established a group that has since staged multiple rallies against the restrictions aimed at preventing the spread of COVID-19. The group is part of a curious alliance. Yeah, this is the one. This is the one. This is the one. Look at this, folks, which is why I definitely want to talk to this guy, because look at the way how they're doing this. This group is part of a curious alliance of libertarians, anti-government, QAnon types, evangelicals, and minor internet celebrities and far-right activists. Whoa, wait, look at that. Look at that. Look, they're saying there's a much bigger tent here for people that are opposing top-down government authoritarianism and mandates. So, you can throw us all in there together as much as you want there, CBC, and try to paint us all. That's what CBC is trying to do, is like libertarians and QAnons and evangelicals, internet celebrities, minor internet celebrities like me, right? Minor. I'm very minor. Not even much of a celebrity, to be honest with you, right? But actually, I guess I would fit into both of those kind of. No, I'm not a celebrity. I joke, of course, but and far-right activists. So, look, they're throwing us all together. So, hey, if they're throwing us all together, I say, listen, I'm willing to bring on, I'll be the libertarian, right? Let's have an anti-government QAnon type. Hey, let's bring one of those folks on. Hey, with StreamYards, we can bring multiples of people. We can all do this at once. So let's do this. I would love to do this. So let's all do like I say, I'll play the libertarian, which I am. Right? Let's get on some QAnon type or so. Let's get an evangelical. That would be great. Bring in an evangelical, right? And let's bring on a minor internet celebrity. There's a few of them out there for sure. But let's bring one on. I'll try to set this up. Actually, you know what? This is something I'm going to work towards trying to set up for sure. But if any of you out there can help me in some way, because once again, my days can get like, whew, I'm going this way, then that way. There's so many things I have to do. And actually right now, there's two people that I've sought employment with. And if I get the call back, then this might quash my ability to be as free as I have been in recent months anyway. So I still have to play with that. And I have that abortion conversation. It's probably going to be this Saturday, I believe. I've got, there's me and two other gentlemen, and the third one I'm still waiting to hear back and see if Saturday is going to be good for him. The other two have already agreed that Saturday is the best day, so it'll probably work out on Saturday. I'll make sure to get the stream up early in the day. So like I say, hey, if you're not subscribed to my channel, do so you can at least get that notification, find out when we go live, because we haven't set up the exact timing as of yet. But yeah, I'd love to get that. And a far right activist. I'll bring on a far right activist. Once again, I don't care about how the media might say, oh, the libertarians was talking to this, because just like I'll bring on a socialist, I'll bring on a communist, I'll bring on an Antifa thug, or well, not the thug, not someone that's into the violence per se, but I'll bring on people of all kinds of political backgrounds, stripes, or ideology, or their ideology, or whatever the hell they are, opinions. LGBT, if you're from the LGBT community, Black Lives Matter. I've reached out. Hey, I've already had a conversation. Remember that lady that I was talking to? What was it, been a couple of weeks now? Now that young lady, what was her name? Anne, I believe her name was. Very smart young lady. And even though people would say, "Oh, you don't want to talk to anyone from Black Lives Matter," I think we had a pretty cordial conversation. I think we both garnered a little bit of respect from each other. Once again, not suggesting that I got to jump in line with everything that the Black Lives Matter movement suggests. I'm not a collectivist. I'm not into some of that stuff. I'm not looking for big government, but I'm definitely on board and support them when they're saying, yeah, we got to defund or massively reduce the kind of spending that's going into these mindless order followers who are carrying out the orders and edicts of the top-down authoritarians, namely the politicians and the ruling class, or the deep state bureaucracy, who try to impose their will, their mandates, and their edicts on us. So once again, I'm on board with talking with just about anyone. I don't care who you are. I will have someone, even if you self-identify as a white or a white supremacist or a white nationalist, I'll have a conversation with you too. Chances are I'll probably have to push back on some of the nonsense that you'll espouse. But like I say, I'm willing to engage in conversation, because that is what it is at the end of the day. It's not about creating division, but let's figure out who the people we're supposed to perceive as our enemies or our opponents. Let's have a conversation with them and figure out where we can find some ways to come together, rather than constantly driving this wedge of division between us all, which is going to cause society to not just continue to break down, but may bring us about to an actual civil war or conflict, right? And yes, that can happen. It definitely can happen, folks. Doesn't seem like it's, like omnipresent or an immediate threat, but there's always the potential. So like I say, I would love to have a conversation with this gentleman from this Radio X in Quebec. Roxanne Martel-Perron, an expert on right-wing extremism in Quebec, has been monitoring the spread of conspiracy theories during the pandemic and said they are steadily infiltrating the mainstream. That's all they use, is conspiracy theories. If you don't agree with what the media or the establishment is saying, you're a conspiracy theorist or far right, right? Or a Nazi or something. And if you do agree, then you're an expert, right? That's the two phrases that they constantly banter around these days, is conspiracy theorists for anyone that has wrong think or doesn't agree with the narrative that they're trying to jam down your throat, or an expert that's reserved for all those who do, the experts, right? The experts. How dystopian to think that there's these people that are just like, those are the people that are claiming to be holier than thou, right? The oracles, right? The arbiters of truth, and nobody else knows anything. Well, are they not human? Are they, are aliens real? Show me, prove to me. Let me see the grays. Let me see those big bulging black eyes underneath there. And then I'll know, okay, these people might have something outside the realm of what the rest of us lowly humans have in terms of capacity, right? So, I tell you. But anyways, the social cause right now of being either anti-mask or adhering to conspiracy theories is lower now than it was in the beginning of the pandemic. It's because you fuckers keep lying to the general populace, and they know you're lying, and that's why they're turning and pivoting to these people that you call conspiracy theorists. But what they're recognizing, actually, these guys are making a whole lot more sense, guys and gals, than you people. So that's why the established media keep saying, don't go over there, they're lying to you, they're a bunch of nut bars, conspiracy theories, and misinformations, and Russian bots. Don't forget the Russian bots. Right. But meanwhile, then people are going over there and say, wait a minute. You told me this guy's a nut bar, and what he's saying makes totally sense. You sound like the nut bar, but if the media keeps trying to double down, think that if you just keep hammering away at that narrative, right, then they'll come back and say, oh, yeah, no. Like I say, they're getting the truth, or at least some semblance of the truth, or something even remotely resembling the truth, something that makes sense to them. And they're like, that's why more and more people are paying attention to them. I wish they were paying attention to me. But hey, wherever they're going, as long as they're looking to other people to look for information to push back against that goddamn bullshit narrative trying to be jammed down our throats by the establishment hacks and the media and the ruling class, then good for them. But anyways, like I say, that's a great article. So let me close this one up. I'll put that one in the link in the description as well. Yeah, stop. Okay. Actually, let me include that right now because that one is one that I didn't have quite waiting place. So let me share it right here now, and then I know I won't forget about it. Yeah, right. That's right. Be proactive. Okay. Alrighty then. Let's get in and see what everyone else is saying again. Where are we at? An hour and 39. So I'm only going to probably give this one to 2 hours, and then I'm going to shut it off. I'm probably cranking up my limitation, or I'm going to be bumping up against the limitation on I only get 20 hours a week with StreamYards. And when I do it, I can do another live stream just through YouTube. But then I can't share anything on the screen, which kind of sucks. But anyways, let me see what's going on. Yeah, I hate the COVID collectivist propaganda. Me too. Oh, by the way, Social Dilemma. Check that out. If you have a Netflix, it's on Netflix and it's a great show. Great. It's like a little mini documentary or thing. Well, it's actually not a mini. It's actually a full-length documentary. I believe it's a documentary. Anyway, it's called The Social Dilemma on Netflix. Me and my wife watched it last night, and it's like, yeah, social media, just like with a lot of things, can be used for good or bad. And there's a lot of bad that's, talked about within that program. And it's actually, like I say, not suggest that you got to give up social media entirely, but it's definitely something to think about. And I definitely took away some things from that documentary that's definitely going to cause me to be a little bit wiser and in terms of my activities online and stuff. But yeah, for sure. Check it out. What was a Frenchman saying? I invite everyone to read A Discourse of Voluntary Servitude by Etienne de la Boétie. It's a powerful 500-year-old book that, well, what we were saying is not new. We are not the violent one. I believe that. And, I'll try to remember to check that out. Actually, what's this called? Can I get it in English? I would imagine, yeah, because you could probably just get it to translate. So let me just write this down. I'll put this actually right here so that I can remember after I get off. Okay, so what is it? Discourse of Voluntary Discourse. I love this kind of stuff. I really appreciate you letting me know about this because I'm not familiar with that one for sure. Servitude. A Discourse of Voluntary Servitude by Etienne de la Boétie. Perfect. Okay, I'll definitely check that out. Thanks for the recommendation, Frenchman. Appreciate it. It's the commie virus, man. Okay, so let me scroll down. Critical theory is just basically reverse Nazism. Yeah, it's also fucking crazy. It is crazy. Like, it's just constantly treating people as just giant collectives without respecting the individuals contained within. Like, this is the problem without acknowledging, individuals for who they are, right? If you just throw people in these categories, this kind of, it's terrible. Discourse of Voluntary. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. Okay. What else we got here? Actually, you know what? Oh, here. I haven't seen Eggertson. The government knows where supper hangs. I used to say that actually when I was younger. That's funny. Are you a Gen Xer? I'm just curious because that was an expression that I used to say, and most of my peers, and I'm a Gen Xer, right? But it might have been, was it something our boomer parents caught of and we just repeated it? No, I think it was our own, I think it was a Gen X thing. I'm pretty sure. But anyways, yeah. You know where your dinner hangs. Yeah. That was an expression. Well, that's funny. Ham and eggers. Hey, thanks for joining the stream. Okay. So yeah, it looks like I pretty much covered most of the comments. So back into where are we at? Oh, wait a minute. What time of the day is it? Okay. Darn it. Yeah, I should kind of take that. I'll have to call back. So what I'm going to do actually, folks, is I'm going to tie this up now, actually, because I do have to answer that call. It's an important call. So I'm definitely going to have to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie up the stream. I did have some more stuff to cover, and I'll do another stream. Today, Thursday. Right, today's Thursday, right? Yeah, I'll probably have to do another stream. Maybe I'll try doing it even tomorrow because, like I say, I got Saturday. I'm already scheduled to do something. So I'll either do it tomorrow or I'll do it Sunday because, like I say, I got lots of stuff that I want to follow up. And I'll probably just call it the same thing as this one and just do it as a part 2. But like I say, thanks for all you folks who joined up to the stream. Yeah, Gen X thing. Yeah, I see that. Ham and Eggerson. Yeah, thanks. I kind of figured as much. But yeah, anyways, like I say, thank you very much. And really appreciate you joining the stream. And always nice to see you, Rika, in the stream. And thank you for joining nice and early on. Really appreciate that. And thanks for all you folks that, like I say, that have joined in and anyone that's going to watch the subsequent. If you want to check on some of my other streams that me and my son have done on the other channel I have, which is called Liberty Hunter Podcast, and subscribe to that as well. It's called, just type into the YouTube bar, or even on my channel, there's a link under, if you go to the About section, I believe, or on the main page, and click on Liberty Hunter Podcast. Me and my son, we did a little, we covered the debate, and then we did a little post-date debate analysis. But anyways, like I said, I got a really important call I got to get to, so thanks for you to join the stream, and I'll see you in the next one. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.